I'm Holly, and with my sister Heather, you're listening to Haunted Family Podcast, a weekly podcast about the paranormal, unsolved mysteries, and even some true crime.
And even.
Well, we are not in the same location this week.
No, and I'm on a brand new microphone.
I can
Woo!
tell. Actually, I can't tell.
Yeah. Oh, well, this one is like mounted to my wall over my bed, which is probably a weird place for it, but I record in my bedroom, so it's perfect for me.
Yes, I need you guys to come and help me set up my mount because, well, actually, never mind because I'm moving. But when I move, help me set up my mount.
Okay, we can. I did this by myself because we're having issues on the farm.
Okay.
Our electric fence is down.
Oh.
And okay, I've mentioned before that this is sort of a family property, and there's several houses on the farm. Our electric fence is the energizer is plugged into an outlet that is underneath the house of right next door. Not mine, the other one of the other ones on the property. Well, we assumed that it would have went bad. Well, it turns out that they're having a water leak, and the ground fault interrupter kicked.
Oh.
So, yeah. We've been dealing with water issues this evening. Thankfully, it wasn't our place, but still it's bad enough. And we're still dealing with goats with pink eye.
Well, I'm dealing with still looking for a house.
You promised me you was never going to move again.
I know. And look, I'm moving. And you know what? I'm not even going to say this is my last move because I will eventually get to New England.
You're hiring a moving company for that.
I think I'll get one of those pods and just put my entire house in a pod and then just have it taken. Hopefully it won't be like the movie Moving.
A girl I went to high school with just moved to Canada.
How'd that go?
Pretty easy. The company that they work for sent a moving truck down, and they loaded up all the boxes onto the truck, and the truck drove to like subarctic Canada and put all the stuff in their new home, and they caught a flight.
Well, that sounds cool.
Actually, probably several flights, and then dealing with customs. But
I'm not for sure how moving out of the country would work for me and all of my animals. Probably not well.
probably not. I think the dogs would have to go through quarantine.
They
And,
wouldn't like that.
yeah.
They're used to their nightly laying in bed with me snuggles.
Some countries allow in-home quarantine where you're just not allowed to let your animals out of the house
Well, that'd work.
for like a period of 90 days or something, and your American vet has to certify each animal is up to date on shots and has no communicable diseases and yada yada yada, and then they have to be inspected by a veterinarian in the place that you've moved to.
So
It seems like it's a big hassle.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, this week we have absolutely ruined one of my
I'm
favorite
sorry.
places to eat,
But
especially in the middle of the night
as many
road
times as
tripping.
we've been to this restaurant and as many insane things as we've seen, I kind of don't know why we keep going back.
I know. I have literally seen altercations between workers
I thought that
in
there
this
was
restaurant.
going to be a shootout one time.
But that restaurant actually had a shootout, like, what was it, 2 weeks before? At that very location. Kid Rock famously got into a brawl at one of their locations in Georgia.
I would assume that Kid Rock gets in brawls everywhere.
Probably so. But this was highlighted because Kid Rock, who at this time was very famous, this was not like before he became famous, got into a fight at, of all places,
Well, listen.
a Waffle
The
House.
Hashbrowns, scattered, smothered, covered, you can't beat it. And I'm sorry. Ernie can try to tell me that Huddle House is the same. Huddle House is not the same. I
Huddle
don't think
House
it
sucks.
but it's just the.
Listen, compared to Waffle House, it's not comparable. And, you know, I have ate at my fair share of Waffle Houses across many states.
We actually ate at one just last month.
Yeah, Holly fell asleep on a table at one coming back from a Hasty Dixie concert.
I thought I was so tired.
I was sitting in a Waffle House in Nashville, Tennessee when I heard what is probably the funniest line I've ever heard at 3 o'clock in the morning. The lady sitting across from me was eating grit and toast sandwiches.
Ew.
And the lady behind me was talking to somebody. And she said, "You can call me on my cell phone." I mean, at 3 o'clock in the morning, dead tired, that was hysterical to me.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it doesn't really compare to that, but I remember a time at Waffle House when, actually it may have been the same trip where I fell asleep on the table, and I asked you what you were going to eat, and you said cheesesteak, and I said, they don't have cheesecake here.
That was the exact same time.
We got into a
I remember
the parking lot of a Waffle House just a couple summers ago.
Oh, yes. Was that with your now ex-boyfriend who I told him that he needed to stop being a big old whiny baby?
Yeah, and Hannah called him a bitch. Yeah.
Yes.
And then he
Fun
proceeded
time.
to sit in the car while we went inside to eat.
Pouting.
Yeah.
And, hold on, people, he really deserved it. He failed the Kings Island test, like, bombed it. You could not have got a lower score on that test than he did.
Yeah. I always said that I have these tests, and that if the person who can pass the test will be the person that I will be able to date. And he was, yeah, it did not go well. It did not go well. He whined the whole time about
Everything.
the fact that I wanted to ride rides, and he wanted me to sit with him, and I don't even know why he came, honestly.
I don't know why you brought him. We would have saved so much gas money because we'd only had to take one vehicle.
That's true.
I remember this one time I ate Waffle House twice in one day, thanks to Willie Nelson.
Okay.
We stopped at Waffle House before the concert, and then, like, literally, like, maybe an hour before the concert, we stopped and ate. And then after the concert, we had the munchies bad because as soon as Willie Nelson takes the stage, there is a cloud of pot smoke that just rises up from the crowd. And we were sitting so close to him that we could literally see the THC leaching out of his pores.
Oh, wow. I've never actually seen him in concert.
You should. He puts on a great show. I mean, he's not like showboating theatrics, but he puts on a great show. I consider myself very fortunate to have watched Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, and Ray Price share the stage together before, you know, they died.
Yeah.
Well, Willie's still alive, but Ray Price and Merle Haggard have went on to the great band in the sky. But yeah, so we had to stop at Waffle House again, and it was the same crew working. They remembered us. I think they knew what happened. But yeah, We seem to gravitate to Waffle Houses on road trips too. It's a nice place. You get in, they should serve you fast, and yeah, you're gone.
And again, the hash browns are awesome. And you almost always come out of there with a funny story. And I don't know of
Almost
any other
always.
restaurant where people write tribute songs about.
Yes, Holly's ex-husband, the girl's dad, actually wrote a song about sitting in Waffle House at 3 a.m. I really wish that either one of us could remember the lyrics to this song.
Actually, I know the lyrics to this song, and I will post them on our Instagram this week.
It was funny. Um, but yeah, the fact that there is a lot of people coming and going at Waffle Houses, and the fact that they are usually located right off the interstate makes them a hotbed for serial killers.
Yeah. And this episode on Waffle House came about when last year it was released that Todd Kohlhepp had picked up two of his victims from the Waffle House.
But while researching this, we realized that Waffle House is a lot stranger than we thought.
Yeah. I mean, not only did he pick up people from that Waffle House, but another serial killer, Marcus Urin, he was found, he would kidnap, murder, and then dump bodies behind a different Waffle House, all in the same state that Todd Kohlhepp was in.
Suspected serial killer. He claims to have killed 17 women. Okay, David M. Bell from Monticello, Kentucky. He claims to have killed 17 women. One of his victims that we know is Nancy Daddiesman from Bowling Green. And in 1998...
And if you're curious, because, this is also a Kentucky crime, it's on the other side of the state from us. Bowling Green is in western Kentucky, and people in, the other side of the state where we're at, central and eastern Kentucky, we kind of forget that western Kentucky exists.
It's on the other side of the time change.
Yeah, because there's a time, you pass through a time change, and, I mean, other than Western Kentucky University and Mammoth Cave, there's really, I'm sure I'm going to get angry later, there's really nothing there. We get, every once in a while, state marching band will be there, and it sucks really, really bad, because, I hate driving the 8 hours to get to the other side of the state.
But that's over with, Holly.
No, I never have to do that again. I just think that it should always be in Lexington or in Louisville. It should always be central Kentucky, in my opinion, because it's central.
Yeah.
And it's only an hour.
And it sucks driving halfway across the state.
Yeah.
But, anyway, she was looking for a ride to Indianapolis, Indiana. And she met David Bell at a Waffle House. I don't know what town the Waffle House was in.
That's okay, because almost every town has a Waffle House.
Pretty much. Oh, here it is. He abducted her from Bowling Green, from the Three Springs Road Waffle House. The last thing she said to any of her friends was she called one of them and said, "I've got my ride to Indianapolis." Bell, before he picked her up, had already gotten an 8-ball of meth, according to this report, and gotten really high. He told law enforcement after her body was found and he was arrested that the only thing on his mind at that point when he abducted her was killing, raping, and eating her remains. He couldn't remember where he had gone. He couldn't tell us how he got there. That's a quote from the from Barron County Sheriff Chris Eaton.
Lovely. I hate people.
I do too. And doing this podcast kind of makes me hate people even more.
Okay, well, this is not a murder, but so there was a man named.
A man, you say?
I
What?
I say a man. Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. It was not a man. It was a woman. Sorry, her name is Jennifer Nicholson. She got really excited and was almost in a manic state and took off all of her clothes and ran around a Waffle House in Georgia tossing plates, and she broke a customer's nose.
I'm gonna bet there was some drugs involved.
Yeah. I mean, they don't know whether or not she was high or having a mental break, but obviously something happened.
Well, I've got a personal story about almost getting the cops called on me in a Waffle House.
Okay. Did you take off all your clothes?
Me, Dad, and a friend of ours who also reenacts had to go to Winchester, Virginia to pick up some stuff for a reenactment we were hosting. And early that morning before we went to get the... no, we'd already got the stuff. We had spent the night. And we ate at Waffle House before we headed back. We were sitting around talking about black powder and drill and all this stuff. And the waitress overheard it and got a really concerned look on her face and went to the phone. I'm 99% sure that she called the cops on us. But thankfully we were out of town before they could track us down. Or we could have ended up like the 4 elderly gentlemen who got caught using a Toccoa, Georgia Waffle House to plot ricin attacks. The 4 men, all in their 60s and 70s, was planning on making ricin. For those of you who don't know, ricin is found in castor beans. Castor beans is pretty common in rural areas. And it's not really hard to extract the ricin from the beans.
Isn't it like a neurological, like, damaging agent or something?
Let me pull up... okay. Apparently, exposure through injection or inhalation is more deadly than oral exposure. It would take... because poison is inactivated by the stomach acids. But a few grains the size of table salt can kill you if you inhale it.
I would not want to extract and try to do this because my luck, I would kill myself.
Exposure to ricin affects the central nervous system, adrenal glands, kidney, and liver. It causes pain, inflammation, and hemorrhaging of the mucous membranes of the gastrointestinal system.
Painful.
Sounds fun. But the FBI caught wind of this and set up a sting operation, and these gentlemen and their little militia group was brought down. It was Frederick Thomas of Cleveland, Georgia, Dan Roberts of Toccoa, Ray Adams of Toccoa and Samuel Crump, also of Toccoa. They wanted to make explosive devices and fill them with ricin. But I'm looking through the FBI archives on this, and I'm not actually seeing where they ever say what militia group they were part of. So, fun stuff, fun stuff. You know, I would think, though, that if I was going to plot a terrorist attack like that, I would not use a Waffle House. Because I know I eavesdrop on other people's conversation at Waffle House.
Right.
So I assume they're eavesdropping on me.
I probably just would not plan an attack, because, I mean, why? So, I have one. This is actually... It is a true crime and a paranormal angle. So we hit both of them with this episode, with this story. Ghost in the Waffle House.
Ghost in the Waffle House?
March 11th, 2002, 4 a.m. Because all the best stories start at 4 a.m.
Ghost stories and Taco Bell stories and Waffle House stories.
Yeah, and Taco Bell too. Yeah. So, two men, again, I cannot pronounce their names, so let me just butcher them. Gerhard, Hohen.
I think it's Gerhard.
Okay, Gerhard. And Jimmy Mickle go into a Waffle House in Davie, Florida. And they force three workers, Barbara Nunn, Christina De La Rosa, and Willie Absolu, into a freezer. Hold on. Okay, so they come back with some bolt cutters and they break open the safe while Hohen gets a handgun and he forces them into the kitchen, which is weird to me because every Waffle House I've ever been to, the kitchen has been open. Like, you see the kitchen. But anyway, so then he forced them into the freezer. And he had them all give them their cell phones. And then he asked for all of their money. And then he came back one more time and he had them all turn around and kneel on the floor. All of this in the freezer. And he shot Absolu and De La Rosa twice each. And then he shot Nunn once in the back. And then he just left. Nunn did not die and regained consciousness and went to the gas station, called 911. And so I think she was able to identify because the guys had been customers there before. But people who work at this Waffle House have claimed that they hear stuff shuffling around in the freezer and that they see unexplained movements and sounds.
I could see that happening. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a pretty gruesome killing, so
Yeah.
it's going to be haunted.
Well, it's not Waffle House related, but I do have a paranormal update on my next door neighbor.
Ooh, do tell, do tell.
Okay, so we've mentioned it several times that my next door neighbor died a little over a year ago. Her house has actually been on the market for a year now.
They way overpriced it to start with.
Well, having gone in it, it's still overpriced. So I had never been in her house. She was a wonderful neighbor, and I loved her to pieces. But I'd never been in her house. And so Ernie and I are house hunting. And I feel like we've seen nearly every house on the market in this town. Um, but I kept mentioning the house next door to me is for sale. The house next door to me is for sale. The house next door to me is for sale. And I finally got him to agree. Okay, fine, we'll go look at the house next door, because the house is actually the same size as mine, which is not going to help us out any at all, except it has a basement. It has an unfinished basement, which would help, because then we can turn the basement into um, the extra space that we need for another bedroom, another sitting room, or something. So we go, and we look around, the upper part of her house, the part that's just like mine, and I was always under the impression that she maybe had fell down the stairs to the basement, because that's where the laundry room is. But there was a freaky stain in the bedroom where there's a sunroom that comes off the back of the house. There was a really freaky stain that kind of looks like looks like a body from the waist down. So I'm thinking actually that that's where she died. But anyway, that's not what the story is about. So we went down the stairs to the basement, and it's like one long room, and then you go through a set of doors. Look, and then when you go through the set of doors, there's almost a whole another kitchen in there. So there's like a stove and an oven, and that's where the washer dryer, and then there's another bath down there. So I was taking pictures because Abby had school and she wasn't going to get to go with us to look at these houses. And as I have the new, I have the iPhone 8, and so it does live pictures. So I was just randomly taking pictures of this house. But if you've got a phone that lets you do live pictures, you know that if you hold down on the picture, you get a couple of seconds, like before and after the picture takes, so it's almost like a little brief video. And the last picture that I took, I was standing probably kind of at the bottom of the stairs where that door is, where you go into the section that has the washer and the dryer and all that. And I just raised up the phone and I just took a picture of what was right in front of me. And I thought that I saw something move out of the corner of my eye, but I wasn't the only person down there. So I just kind of like blew it off as, well, maybe it was just a shadow of somebody that was with me. But when I went back on my phone and was looking at the pictures, that moment where I thought I saw something, if you hold it down, you see kind of what looks like an orb, but it flies really fast from my right side up towards my left. I don't know if that means she wants me to buy the house or what, but her nephews have it overpriced, so I'm still not going to buy it.
But think about how awesome it would be to move.
I know. I wouldn't have to rent anything. I would just haul everything out.
So, more in the strange Waffle House stories. In 2014, Jeffrey Wooten robbed an Atlanta area Waffle House. Have you noticed a trend with Atlanta and Waffle Houses?
I think it's a southern thing.
Well, anyway, he robbed an Atlanta area Waffle House with a pitchfork.
I saw that.
Used the pitchfork to push everybody into a corner, grabbed the cash register, and ran out. He dropped his pitchfork on the way out, and a worker grabbed it and used it to bust out one of his windows. In another instance, a man named Johnny Max killed a waitress, Julie Brightwell, because she told him that he couldn't smoke in the restaurant. Pulled out a gun and shot her because he couldn't smoke. Well, newsflash, no smoking in prison.
Oh, so sad.
Seriously, that's nothing to kill somebody over.
But then again, we're not smokers, so I guess we don't know what the nicotine withdrawal is.
So I guess we should really get into Todd Kohlhepp a little bit, because he is the bread and butters of this episode.
He is.
When you think Waffle House serial killers, you're thinking of this man.
Right. Okay, so he is one of those people where you think that some people are just born bad. And you don't, my degree is in early childhood development, and I spend a lot of time working with teachers. Not so much kids anymore, but I did used to teach for a long time. So I never really believed that there are just some people who are born awful. But Todd Kohlhepp is one of those people that makes me think that I was wrong. And as a teacher, I had a 3-year-old tell me that he was going to chop me up into little pieces and torture and kill me. And he did not just say this once when he was angry. He said this a lot.
So I wonder what he's doing now. 20 to life?
No, he is in high school now. He has therapy.
Good.
And is actually doing really, really well. And when I see him out, which I sometimes do, he is always super polite and asks me how I'm doing. And
maybe he's just, biding his time for when he can kill you.
Possibly. So if I end up murdered, it was.
I will find this. I will find this person, and if the justice system lets me down, I will punish them.
Yeah, but I mean, he seems like he got what he needed. But anyway, so back to Todd Kohlhepp. He is not much older than me. He's 5 years older than me, and was raised by his mom because his parents got divorced when he was young. So the mom remarried soon after the divorce, and so he pretty much only knew his stepdad. And psychologists have said that he had a super unhealthy relationship with his stepdad, and that's what led him to leave and go live with his biological dad, which was a bad thing, because in 1987, when he was just 15, well, actually, let's not even get to, we'll not even talk about that yet. Let's just go back and talk about, even in preschool, everybody said that he was aggressive towards other children. He would destroy their property. When he was 9, he started going to counseling. He is repeatedly being described as explosive and preoccupied with sexual content, even as a kid. He has the future serial killer trifecta of cruelty to animals. I'm not even going to go into some of the things that he did to animals. So, he's got the explosive anger and the cruel to animals thing down. So I guess it's not totally the trifecta, because we don't have any, I don't know if his stepfather was abusive. I just know that they had a bad relationship.
We had a cousin, though, that had all of the classic signs of a serial killer when he was young, and, but never mind, he's in jail.
Yeah.
But not for killing anybody. He's just drugs.
Yet.
I really think, though, that he medicates his problems away through drugs, because we all know he had a crappy life growing up.
Yeah.
Our other cousins don't have an excuse, but he kind of does.
So, in 83, his mom made him go live with his dad because of the stepfather situation. And he just took, just random jobs. He's still a kid, that's not uncommon. His dad started letting him collect weapons, which...
That's always good.
Right. I mean, it's not a secret that I have a gun. I actually have a handgun, and I have several... actually, I don't really have several. I guess Hannah has... I think Hannah has a 22. And then I inherited Dad's 308, but you haven't brought it to me.
I'll bring it to you for Christmas.
So, but anyway, the point being is there are guns in the house. I wouldn't say that we have a collection, but we have guns in the house.
We have friends who have a lot more than you, but you're building.
We have a friend who has I jokingly call it a safe room, because it is a safe as big as a room full of guns. But anyway, we have other weapons also. And we were taught how to respect a gun growing up. We never played with it or shot anybody or shot anything.
No, we learned how to shoot guns at an early age, and we were always taught that you do not point a gun at something that you don't intend to kill.
Right. That
guns mean death. That something is going to die.
But Todd's dad really didn't have that same concept, and so he was able to pretty much do whatever he wanted. So in 1987, he's 15 years old. He kidnaps a 14-year-old girl, threatens her with a .22 caliber revolver, and he brings her back to his house, ties her up, tapes her mouth shut, and he rapes her. Afterwards, he just takes her home and then threatens to kill her younger siblings if she tells anybody. Thankfully, she told somebody. And he was charged with kidnapping, sexual assault, and committing a dangerous crime against children, even though he himself was also a minor. So he was sentenced to 15 years in prison and had to register as a sex offender. While in prison, he got a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, but the judge said that he was an extremely bright person and should advance academically, but behaviorally and emotionally, he was dangerous and probably could not be rehabilitated. The probation officer said kind of the same thing, but he said that he felt that Todd felt that the world owed him something. Kohlhepp's attorney, though, of course, this is the person that's being paid by Todd Kohlhepp, said that he didn't believe that his client would go on to do any kind of harm to anybody else in the future, that this was just an isolated incident. Boy, was he wrong. Because he gets out. Well, I mean, keep in mind, he went in
as a kid. And prison, I'm sure even on a child level, does bad things to your psyche.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
We do not have a prison system set up to rehabilitate. Other countries do, and that's why other countries have lower recidivism rates than the United States does. We are just all out to punish. And all we do is breed better criminals.
Right. And I mean, Heather and I both were criminology minors. Well, actually, Heather was a criminology major. I was a criminology minor. Because I thought, for whatever reason, that went along really well with my child development degree.
It did, though, didn't it?
It did. I mean, I do now have a true crime podcast. But one of the things that is said over and over and over in our class is that criminals offend because we do not teach them how to do anything else. And it's all because it's all money. That's what we get when we have private prisons.
Yes. we are in the business of imprisoning people because it's making people wealthy.
Right.
And when people get out of prison, there is such a stigma attached to them that they have problems finding jobs, finding housing, because they are barred from most public housing at that point. And they are really left with few options. So it is easier for them to get put back in the system.
Right. And it's a vicious cycle. We don't help people do anything other than commit crimes.
Yeah. Now, I mean, Kohlhepp probably would have still committed further crimes had he not been imprisoned, but his imprisonment did not help.
Right. And I'm not saying that prisoners get out of prison and it's, woe is them, we've done bad things. No. I mean, they should be punished when they are guilty. And if anybody has done anything that, we talk about to my children, I myself would be in prison because I wouldn't wait for the justice system.
But we need to if we want to stop recidivism, we need to improve our prison system.
That's true. We need to make it not private. I mean, people need to not be making a profit on it.
I mean, and if you ever really want to see how scary prison can be, go to YouTube or Netflix and watch some of the documentaries that have been filmed in prisons, or found a little documentary that I had to watch in college, so I'm sure you had to watch in college.
Scared Straight?
The Stanford Prison Experiment.
Oh, yes.
That right there was sort of eye-opening to me about how...
it was just human nature.
Yes.
I think it was that right there, the Stanford Prison Experiment, that made me realize that people suck. I'd much rather spend my days with dogs and cats than 90% of most people.
Yeah, it's funny now. Well, not funny, but they've compared what happened in Abu Ghraib to the Stanford Prison Experiment, and you'll see this happening anywhere where there's a difference of power.
Mm-hmm.
Power really goes to some people's heads. And I have friends who are prison guards. We have a relative who's a prison guard.
We do.
Some people can keep that in check. Some people can't.
Right.
Some people go into that line of work, and some people go into law enforcement because they like the power. Those are the people who absolutely should not be in that position.
Right. See, that's why I would never, because there are many mornings when I'm driving to school and I'm screaming at the other drivers, and I think, you know what, I absolutely want to have the power to pull these dumbasses over, and that's bad, and that's why I should never do that, because I would abuse my power, and I'd be slamming people on cars and shooting them. And
yeah, I mean, and it's a tough position, because you're not going to attract the best and the brightest into corrections with the lousy pay that corrections pays right now, at least in our state.
Well, and it doesn't help that our state is trying to screw over
the pensions, yes,
state workers' pensions. So it's only going to get worse. I mean, and that affects teachers, that affects law enforcement, it affects fire departments. I'm not for sure who else, but I know that those are the big three that it affects. Well, like, I don't know on the police angle, but I know the teacher angle, it's a few $100s a month less is what they're going to get paid. And in addition to that, they don't. There's no perks anymore. There's no early retirement. There's no the insurance has been terrible for a while, but it's actually going to get worse. And there's no guarantee, like when you retire, that you're even going to get any of that. It's a mess. It's absolutely a mess.
We kind of got off on a little side note there, but
We did. Well, Kohlhepp actually, when he got out of prison, he actually got out with a degree. He had a degree in, I cannot remember what it was.
he had a bachelor's degree in computer science.
And then he was able to go back to school and get a degree, a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration Marketing. And then he applied for and got his real estate license. So
I didn't think that people who had who was registered sex offenders could get a license for real estate.
That was in 2006, so maybe it's
apparently he lied about his felony charges.
I mean, being a minor, I don't know, maybe it was sealed.
I don't know. I think though that if you're a registered sex offender, even if it was a minor, if they make you register, it shows up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he started a firm. He had agents working under him. He was doing really, really well for himself. He got his private pilot license. And in May of 2014, he purchased 100 acres of land. And he bought this for $305,000. And I don't know why I felt the need to tell you that. But I guess just because I am in house hunting mode. He put a fence around all of the property, which the fence cost just a little bit less than my house. It's crazy.
That must have been some fence. It's like the border wall they want to put on Mexico.
Yeah, like 9 miles of fencing. No way, it was 9 miles for more. I'm not actually for sure how big that fence is, but yeah, $80,000 is how much it costs to build it.
Well, if you put a fence around the whole 100 acres, that's quite a bit of fence.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a actual fence and not like the electric fence that most people use when they're fencing off acreage.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about what kind of fence it was. So Kohlhepp frequented a Waffle House in Roebuck. And he started having disturbing behavior with a waitress, to the point that a male cook started taking the orders for Kohlhepp so that the poor waitress wouldn't have to. And this waitress actually ended up being one of his victims. So, I don't know. Should we talk about his first set of his first set of murders, or do we skip that?
Whichever you want.
Yeah, see, I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about it. So, because this sets a pattern of behavior for this Kohlhepp person. He shot 4 people to death in a Superbike motorsports store. The victims were Scott Ponder, 30. He was the owner. Service manager Brian Lucas, 30. Mechanic Chris Sherbert, 26. And the bookkeeper Beverly Guy, 52. Who was actually Ponder's mother. And this crime was not even solved until 2016. Which is why I wasn't for sure if we should mention it. But he said that the reason that he did it was because they were laughing at him when he went in and said that he wanted to learn how to ride a bike. And
I don't know. If someone laughed at me because I said I want to learn how to ride a bike, I'd get mad, but I probably wouldn't kill them.
Right. Well, I mean, I wouldn't either. Okay, this is where I try to put myself in the the place of the parents. Because, I mean, it can't be a good feeling knowing that your kid is a horrible person who killed a bunch of people. But the mom kept glossing over the fact that her son killed a lot of people. And
I'm sure a lot of it is still in denial. I mean,
well, she said he wasn't a monster, he was just misunderstood.
well, I mean, Ted Bundy was just misunderstood.
Oh God.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think you can excuse a lot of behavior, but when your body count is that high, sometimes you just gotta admit that your kid's a psycho.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, like, you can't even, like, put a pattern to Kohlhepp's murders. Like, because we wouldn't have even known about him. He would have probably have gotten off and continued to kill other people. Except for Kayla Brown. And so Kayla, 30, this happened August 31st of last year, 2016. Kayla, 30, and her boyfriend Charles David Carver, 32, they went missing. They were supposed to go to Kohlhepp's house and clean it. And nobody heard or saw of them again. What actually helped find her was he was posting to her Facebook after she was kidnapped. But people noticed that it was unusual. And so they just kind of went looking for her, I guess. And they found her chained up.
Well, yeah, while searching, they heard screams inside a large metal container. And they sawed the hinges off. And inside, chained up, was Kayla Brown.
Right, and he was only feeding her once a day. And
this was 2 months after she was abducted.
Right. And according to her, was raping her multiple times a day. And thankfully, I know that cell phone technology and cell phone pings is still in the early stages of being able to determine exact location. But actually, in this case, it was also one of the things that led them to him, because that was the last known area of cell phone activity. So that's how they were able to go find her. But while they were there, they found the bodies. Actually, first they found Carver's vehicle, and then it was covered in brush. Of course, Kohlhepp's mom said that Carver was killed because he had a really smart mouth, and Kohlhepp didn't like it. And he just kept Kayla hostage because he just didn't know what else to do with her at that point. I'm sorry, Mrs. Kohlhepp, or whatever the fuck your name is now. You're an idiot. So he was finally arrested November 6th. Was he arrested on November 6th? Yeah. And there was 2 bodies that was found, and that was Johnny Joe Coxey, 29, and Megan Lee McGraw Coxey, that was the waitress, 26. They went missing on December 22nd of 2015. And he had hired them also to come work on his property. They had gunshot wounds to the head.
Yeah. He had planned on keeping her hostage like he did Kayla Brown, but apparently she tried to burn down the container she was stored in with cigarettes that he had gave her, so he decided to kill her.
Well, good for her. I mean,
yeah.
It sucks that she died, but I mean, good for her trying to fight back. Yeah. I just don't even know what to say about.
He really did not have a rhyme, reason, or pattern to his killings, with the exception of luring people to his property every now and then. He seemed more of just killing when either the mood struck him or somebody ticked him off.
Right. I actually think that the luring people to his property would, because he killed the men first.
It was more about sex with him.
It was. I'm sure that he really just wanted the girls, but they probably sensed that he was unstable, so they brought men with them, and then Kohlhepp killed them first. But the motorbike shop, I mean, that doesn't even fit an MO of what he had done before. So had he not confessed to that would still be unsolved.
And law enforcement said that he remembered each detail of the shots he fired at the bike shop with like crisp clarity. He said to them, "That was one big building. I cleared that building in about in under 30 seconds. I'm sorry, but you guys would have been proud." The investigator asked if anyone begged for their lives or said anything to him. "I don't remember any of that," he responded. "I will tell you that once I was engaged. It was like a video game. It's not a game. You've been there, sir. You know what I'm talking about." I'm referring to, how methodical he was with killing everyone in the building. I think Kohlhepp is probably one of the more interesting serial killers that has worked in recent years because he was so unpredictable. And honestly, if he hadn't goofed up with logging into her Facebook and keeping her alive for so long, he probably would have got by with this. He probably would have kept it going for a few more years.
Yeah. So it was a good thing.
Very good thing.
But it does make me second guess going to Waffle House. I'll probably never go by myself. Not that I ever went by myself.
I've been to a Waffle House by myself before, but it was in the middle of the day. I feel safer in the middle of the day at Waffle House. In the middle of the night is when all the weirdos come out.
Yeah, well, in the middle of the night is where all the weirdos come out, no matter where you are.
Truth. Before we get into our stupid criminal, I would like to talk about a case that has been going around my area, my town, for a while. And I've already told you about it.
You did?
Recently, I think it was last week, after serving only 4 years in prison, Gary Ward, a local man, was released. In 2013, he abducted Christina Hale Barnett and murdered her. And then burned her body and put a TV on it at a strip mine in Knott County. And all he got was 4 freaking years in prison. They pled it down to manslaughter and abuse of a corpse. So, right there, justice system is a joke in this country. When you can literally murder a girl and all you get is 4 years in prison. So, everybody needs to keep things like that in their mind when they're going around. And the next time they vote for their Commonwealth's attorney or whatever their prosecutor is for their region or town, ask them how tough they're going to be on criminals, because we should not have murderers walking free after 4 years. We shouldn't.
And I looked it up because I kept thinking that I went to high school with him.
Did you?
Well, I don't know. Like, I can't find Emmy. I'm sure has done something to all my yearbooks, because I went to high school with Chris Stapleton, so she liked to take my yearbooks and then take pictures of him, like every picture that he was in, and send it to her friends, because they didn't believe that we went to school together. And so my My yearbooks
He
are
won.
all gone.
He won CMA Album of the Year tonight.
Awesome. Good for him.
Yeah. But you know what? I've got a copy of like the 1993 yearbook. I'll look and see if he's in there.
Well, I actually can see the 1993, so give me just a second and I'll pull it off the shelf and see if he's in that one. But I think that he would have been a freshman my senior year.
Oh, okay.
So, hold on
But
a second.
well, I'll just keep talking while you're doing that. People in our area have taken it upon themselves to share his picture on Facebook almost daily with the message, "Hey, be on the lookout for Gary Ward because he murdered this girl and he only got 4 years in prison and now he's walking free." And in some instances, I would say that he served his time and we should just, let him try to rejoin society. But, not with this. Because I think that if you kill somebody, you should get more than 4 years in prison. Just how I am. I think that murder should carry more than just 4 years. And I don't think that prosecutors should be allowed to plea bargain down a crime as grisly as what happened to Christina to manslaughter.
Right, I agree. I just don't think that...
I mean, and I kind of remember Christina. I don't think we were never friends or anything, but I do remember her from the peripheral. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we wasn't friends. It matters that she was a human being and she deserved a lot better than how she went out. So, that's how I feel about that. Very few things recently has gotten me as riled up as him getting released.
No, I don't. He was probably a freshman when I was a senior, and I'm not seeing him in here.
So we'll go with this. Someone shared a picture with me earlier this week from the Facebook group Only in Idaho. And the caption says, it's the mile marker. It's mile marker 419.9. 419.9.
Okay.
And the caption says, in 2015, transportation officials decided to replace the mile marker 420 on Highway 95 with marker 419.9 due to being stolen over and over.
Not gonna lie, I'd probably steal it.
I probably would too. No joke. Legit. Can't blame them. So, is that our episode for tonight? We have an exciting episode for next week.
Really? What is it?
Hold on, I need to find it. Oh, it's very good. And it's going to be one of the mysteries.
Ooh.
And then the week after that is probably going to be a really awesome episode because it's a topic that Holly and I both enjoy.
Sleeping?
Well, no, it involves one of our favorite bands.
Oh. I know what it is. And we were actually at a concert the week before that happened.
Seeing that band.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then the week after that is a story that is personal to us. So, yeah, we've got a really exciting month of episodes coming up for you all. I'm excited for you.
You're going to take
and I'm excited for us. I will. Yeah. So, if you want your own podcast because you listen to us and you think, hey, they make it sound really fun, or you think, hey, I can do that so much better.
Which is probably what they're thinking.
Probably. Then why don't you use our affiliate link and join the exciting hosting site of Podbean,
which we love.
We truly love Podbean. And we do not get any money for saying that we love Podbean. We say it because we really mean it. But if you sign up with our affiliate code, Haunted Family PB, we do get a tiny little kickback from it that we'll put towards our hosting fees.
Because this ain't free.
No. But Podbean really makes it super easy for us to look at the analytics of our podcast, which is important to us. We like to know where our listeners are coming from.
Yep. Shout out to California.
And what episode?
Last time I looked, you were our #1 downloaded state.
I think we need to go to California.
We do.
We need to take this show on the road. But, yeah. We also like seeing which of our episodes is trending. So, yeah, we really love Podbean. Makes it all easy. And they made integrating our YouTube channel and our website just a breeze. And we are not tech-savvy people, so that's important to us.
Uploading to Podbean is, it's super, super simple. If you have a stupid criminal that you are dying to share with us, send it to our email, hauntedfamilypodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, we do check it.
Well, you check it. I don't check it.
Yeah. And you have show ideas. Send us an email.
Right. We are working on our list of shows for next season, which will start in, January 1. So if you have a show idea, please get it in now so that we can go ahead and set up our calendar for next year.
Yeah. We have some episodes lined up, but we need a few more to fill out our year. I think we've got some really good show ideas for next year.
Oh yeah, I think so too. And I think that's it.
I think so. So, thanks for listening in this week. Hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to bringing you another show next week because it's going to be awesome.
It is.
And I'm really excited about recording on my new mic. So if you think I sound awesome, send me a message. If you think I sound like crap, send me a message. But be gentle because I cry.
We've not had the issues that we normally have. So have
you been able to hear me this whole time?
I have been.
Awesome. Okay then. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.